Hey everyone, I came across something and I figured I'd just make a quick video about it because I think it might be helpful to you all, um, whether you're trying to connect to your Cherwell database from just a general .NET app, or if you're looking for the SQL Server connection string to use for Cortex. More information about that in the video description and, all across the channel. If you've been paying attention to the channel over the last couple months, you'll know that I've been working on something called Cortex to give people access to their Cherwell data for archival and auditing purposes and a whole bunch of stuff in other videos. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I am going to talk about how you can get the uh, SQL Server connection string, which is how Cortex knows how to access your Cherwell data, um, based on the information that's already on your Cherwell setup. So if you're running Cherwell locally, this would be super easy. If you're not running Cherwell locally on your own network, um, these instructions might be a little bit um, different because the information that you'll find on your own machine will actually not look quite the same as what I'm about to show you. So, uh, but if you do get a copy of your data and run it locally, set up Cherwell running locally as if you were doing an on-premises install of Cherwell, then you can follow along with the rest of the instructions and get the SQL Server connection string from your Cherwell install. Um, and that might actually be kind of an intermediate step to setting up Cortex while you still have access to a copy of Cherwell. You can run it locally, set it up, and then run Cortex right next to it, and compare the two, make sure everything's working properly, and even use that as a troubleshooting mechanism. Um, if all of this is making you scratch your head, not a big deal. You can reach out to me. I can help walk you through it. You can work with your Cherwell partner if you're working with a partner. If you've worked with a partner in the past, or are working with a partner to help you through the transition, they can help you out with this as well. Um, my contact information is down in the video description. Obviously, you know how to talk to your Cherwell partner. So, enough of me talking. Let's get to the demo. So I'm going to show, this is just a Windows Server machine that I have running in Azure. You can see I have Cherwell installed. And if I go ahead and open up Cherwell, um, it'll take a couple seconds. You can see I have three different databases, Cherwell databases set up. I think they actually all point to the same place. It's just uh, between different configurations, I ended up adding three different connections. Um, so I'll show you how to find those and how to uh, pull the SQL Server connection string out of that information. Uh, so first off, I'm going to open up File Explorer just from the Start menu. I know it's off the screen, but I just went to the Start menu and pulled up File Explorer. Now I'm going to go to the C drive. Um, And actually, in order to see the files that we need to get to, I need to change a view setting. So I'm going to go to the View menu, and click Options, and then on the View tab, sorry, this is kind of small. You might want to zoom in or watch this on a computer screen. Um, on the View menu, there's this option, Hidden Files and Folders, and you want to choose the radio button that says Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives, and click Apply, and then OK. And you'll notice that a couple folders showed up that weren't present before. This one, I have no idea what it is, but don't worry about that. The one we care about is program data. Now, this folder, program data, is exactly what it says. This is a place where programs that get installed on the machine store configuration or, um, in some cases, temporary data. Not temporary data in the sense of like see Windows temp, but stuff that's that the program itself generates that it wants to store for later. Uh, and you'll notice one of these folders is called Trebuchet. Trebuchet is a name that shows up around Cherwell in a few places, um, and in this case, this is where Cherwell stores the information we're after. It's in this connections.xml file. I'm going to right click and click Edit. This will open it up in Notepad, and you can see lots of information about the connections. You can actually see connection def, connection def, connection def. There are three of those. Each of these corresponds to one of those little database icons in my Cherwell connection chooser screen. Uh, we'll look at the first one. If you look a few lines down, what is that, like 6 or 7? You'll see an item called connection string. It just says connection string there. And then there's some information. And I'm actually going to grab basically the rest of the line all the way up until this angle bracket right above the cursor there, this angle bracket, and then it says slash connection string. This is an XML file. If you're familiar with XML, we're getting the inner text of the connection string element. This should look similar to HTML if you're familiar with HTML. If you're not familiar with either XML or HTML, just trust me, this is the piece that we want. And I'm going to copy that. I'm just hitting Control C, copying it, and then we'll just do File New and drop it into a new Notepad window here. I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to turn on wrapping. I can figure out how. There we go. Just so it's easier to see. And you can see there's a few parts. I'm actually going to add some formatting just to help us see what's in here. And then at the end, I will be taking the formatting out. I don't think it actually matters. I think the SQL Server library will handle line breaks just fine. But typically you see connection strings on a single line. So I'm just going to put a line break after each one of these semicolons. And then we'll look at what we have. Basically, each piece of this connection string is an option. And it's basically a set of key value pairs. The key or the option name on the left side of an equal sign, and then its values on the right-hand side. So, for instance, we see data source, which is, it's kind of an archaic term, but it basically means the server that you want to talk to. Where is the SQL Server database running? In this case, it's a special configuration called local, and that's totally fine. Because that's where my database is. This is something that we'll just keep as is. Initial catalog, we're also going to keep as is. DB owner is something that isn't actually a part of SQL Server connection strings. I wonder if this is something that Cherwell injected just because it is one of those fields that's prompted for when you're configuring a new connection. So we're going to take that out. User ID is the username to connect with. Password, we're going to keep the password option, but this is not your actual password. This is an encrypted version of your password, and this is something that Cherwell encrypts so that it's safe to store in a file on disk. And then when Cherwell starts up, it decrypts the password and uses the actual password. So I'm going to remove that, everything but the semicolon. And I'm actually going to add in, I don't remember what the password for this user account is. So I'm just going to say it's Cherwell, and it looks like a password. Um, don't actually use the word Cherwell as your password. That's not very secure. Um, and this encrypted password equals true. I think that just indicates that the password was stored encrypted. Um, so if Cherwell happened to see a connection string that didn't have encrypted password equals true, it would assume that the password option had just the raw password in the connection string. Um, that's not something that's part of a standard SQL Server connection string, so we're going to remove that option as well, just so that things don't break further down the line. Default pooling and packet size uh, are both um, standard SQL Server options, but they aren't necessary, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove them. The one option that is required for Cortex to work is something called multiple active result sets. That needs to be set to true. So at this point, we have five options: the data source, the initial catalog, which is basically the database, the user ID, and the password, and this multiple active results set, multiple active result sets option. The first four end with a semicolon. Technically, this one could end with a semicolon too, but typically these are just delimited by semicolons, not terminated by semicolons. And then I'm going to go ahead and just remove those line breaks. And I still have word wrapping turned on, so it looks like there's a line break where there's actually a space. But with that, I have a connection string that I can drop into the config file of Cortex, which I think in my case, I stuck in C, yeah, in here. That would be in appsettings.json. I just drop it in the appropriate field in appsettings.json. And then Cortex would be able to talk to my Cherwell database that is called Cherwell and is running on this local machine. So hopefully that gave you some insight into how Cherwell stores your connection strings and how you can get at your connection strings to use for Cortex, and kind of shows some of the similarities and differences between how Cherwell and Cortex know how to connect to their databases. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the description below. If you would like further help with this, reach out. There's information on how to contact me down below as well. And if you want to see Cortex in action, there's also a link to a demo of Cortex. And of course, subscribe, like this video. Stay tuned for more Cortex demos. If you haven't seen Cortex at all, go ahead and watch actually yesterday's video. Will be a good place to start. I'll see if I can link that at the end of this video. And if I remember, I'll link it down in the video description as well. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.